All right, so I'm gonna have to. All right, so good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gents. So if you're joining me, this is the first time I'm actually not gonna formalize a video, and this is something that I have to thank my brother for because he has always told me to be authentic in front of the camera. So here we go, we're authentic. So, so in this video, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to walk you through a tool called Claude Code, and I've been playing around with some of these AI tools for quite some time now. And I must tell you that it feels like the art of the possible is here. And for those that are not aware, I'm going to show you exactly what Claude Code is. Claude Code is one of the agentic tools that have come out in the last, call it year now. It's gotten a lot better in the last 6 to 9 months. It's really a tool to help you with developing or leveraging agents. You may hear a lot about what these agents are, but Claude, let me find the home page here. Claude is really a agentic tool that is not only like ChatGPT, but you can do so many more things with it. And so in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just walk you through exactly how I've been using it personally for myself. I am in the business of photo video services with my family, my brother and my father specifically. And I've been trying to find a way to utilize these tools to improve our business through automating our operations or marketing or things like that, things that are very redundant. I really feel like the art of the possible of being able to run a one-man business is here. And I don't say that very lightly, but Claude is one of those tools that really allows for that. And if you haven't started playing with it already, I would highly, highly recommend that you start. Let me show you the homepage here. I can't even find it. Let's see. So ultimately what this is almost like using a set of agents that can help you get work done. And I'll show you a very simple example. I mean, they have a couple different versions. They have Claude on desktop. They have Claude on the terminal. And the way I've been using it is through a terminal-based command. Now, this might look a little scary for some people. Terminal is really just a way to interact with your computer in an autonomous way. As you can see here, I have a couple of different like processes running, but I'm gonna show you like a 101 on how I utilize it, starting with using what's called agent skills. Now, with Claude itself, you can basically have it do any task for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up what's called a Claude Code skill. Let me pull up the plugin here. Knowledge, skill, finance. So what recently came out was Claude for financial services skills, and they also have a couple of other skills as well. What skills are a way to kind of ring fence the agent from understanding, like it's a way to plug and play expertise directly within the agent. And if you think about how like these AI models are built, large language models are really large, meaning they're trained on the internet's information. When you train on the internet's information, it can go off and do all these different things, but sometimes you're better off trying to ring fence it to say, well, no, I don't want you to think about the context of the internet. I want you to think about something very specific. And so skills allow you to kind of ring fence that the agents call it skill set towards a very specific domain. And so what recently came out within the last, call it, 1 or 2 days, was Claude for financial services, Claude for bio, chemistry. There's like all these different things here. Let me just kind of pull these up. So you could do, preparing month-end journal entries. You can reconcile your general ledger account. You can use it for marketing. You can use it to plan content, campaigns. You can use it to create blog posts. You can use it for product management, productivity, customer support, sales even. And so what I'm showing you here is what's called Claude Co-work. And this is a set of tools that are different than the actual terminal itself. So the terminal here is more for developers. So if you're a developer and you want to be able to code something, you can leverage Claude to code something. I can say something like, I want, and I'm going to use a slash command here. I want you to, well, let's do this. Let's first tell it that we want to install this skill. Let's install the finance skill on Claude. And I'm going to give it a link directly to where we've seen that. And so what this is going to do is going to go off. It's going to go find the actual skill for finance. And so even though it's available here within Claude for Co-work, which is a different tool set, I'm going to try to take that and put that here. And the reason why I'm going to choose Claude Code is primarily because I can orchestrate different things. I can orchestrate different connectors. So unlike Claude for Co-work, I can do the same thing here. I can have it work in a folder. I can have it organize pictures. I can have it organize my, my downloads folder. Let's say I've got all this crap here in my downloads folder. I can say, downloads, I want you to help me organize this folder. And I can say, let's go. Now you're going to see this drop down here for different types of models. For Opus, Sonnet, Haiku, these are 3 different models depending on how aggressive you need the intelligence to be. So specifically, Opus is really meant for like really complex tasks. It burns a lot more tokens, which means it's going to be more expensive, meaning you only have a certain amount of usage within your plan. And depending on if you buy the highest pro plan versus like a free plan, obviously your usage is going to vary. Opus is the most complex model. Sonnet, on the other hand, is for everyday tasks, as the name implies. Best for everyday tasks. While Haiku is a smaller model. It's faster, but let's just say it's a little dumber. So you go from like dumb to, semi-smart to really smart. And so these 3 models here, depending on how aggressive you need the intelligence to be, will dictate which model you use. For something like I'm doing to organize a folder, I'm not going to use Opus. It might be overkill. I'm going to use Sonnet. And so what Co-work does is it allows you to work directly within one folder. So that way you segregate and say, okay, like you don't have any permissions beyond this folder. I want you just to utilize just as one folder. And then you can say, I want you to organize this folder. We have some, spare files that are outside of our original organizational folders, something like that. Help me re-baseline and organize them into the right folders. And then I'm going to say, let's go. And honestly, the prompt is like, the more specific you are with your prompting, like this is really where the magic lies. Being able to really focus on what you want to do. So let me actually rewrite this because I feel like I butchered the whole thing. I have files in this folder that are not organized. I need your help with maintaining my downloads folder into categories. As you can see, like I'm going to show you guys here. If I go to downloads, I had created some of these file folders before: financials, business, personal documents. These are the these are the categories I want to keep. I have 8 categories of folders, and I want you to help me organize them. Organize the files outside of those 8 categories accordingly. So what this is going to do is it's going to look at all the files here. Let's say I have all this like crap here, and it's going to find a way to organize all this and put this in the respective folders here. So this is just one very simple example I'm showing you guys. Let's say, let's go. And we had already given it permission to work just directly within the downloads folder. This is now going to go, it's going to analyze all the folders and all the files in those folders and determine how we can organize it accordingly. So this is Co-work. Co-work is almost like Claude Code, but for like the everyday person. Yeah, you might need to give it some access. That's fine. So we're going to say downloads. Go ahead. So what this is going to do is going to create a plan for you. That plan for you is going to create a set of like actionable steps here. Step one, it's going to look at all the files. Step two, it's going to organize those files. It's going to do some analysis to figure out what files should go into what folders. And then it's going to come up with a plan, and it's going to ask you what you want to do based on this plan. So what's it saying? It's saying we've got these 8 folders here. These are the files we want to organize. We have some media files as well. Would you like me to proceed? And say yes. And so now it's going to go off, and you're going to see it work side by side here. And it's going to now start to move these files into the folders. So what's really cool about Claude is that it can understand what these files are. It's going to look inside them. It's going to realize some of these are pictures, some of these are reports, some of these are statements. You're going to see it actively clean up. Now that's powerful. That to me blows my mind. And here we go. That's it now. So now everything's going into these folders here. Voila, everything is fully organized. So that's really the power of this technology here, is that you don't need to learn how to be a developer. Sure, if I want to do the same thing in terminal here, I could definitely do that. I could say the same command, and I can just use the Claude command here. And the interface here is going to be a lot more technical. So depending on your skill set, if you're looking to use Claude for development work, this is really the main interface that most developers are going to use. But you could really do the same thing. You could have it organize files here based on this terminal. Or if you download a desktop app, it'll do the same thing, and you don't need to there's a little bit less learning curve here. So ultimately, you can see here I have a couple of different things running. I have a couple of things that I'm building for our business, and that is really automation around improving some of our tools that we have here. So all these commands are just running on the background. Now, the planning process is really important, because when you have Claude, an agentic tool that's going off and doing commands or building code or testing code, the planning process is really important. So what I do here is I always use the plan command. So let's take a very simple example again. I want you to help me organize my downloads folder. Identify files that can be safely deleted. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Finder here. I'm going to take this link and I'm going to drag and drop it, so that way it knows I'm talking about the downloads folder. Oh shit, what did I do? Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. All right, so let's put downloads back there. Let's say, let me instead grab the link. So I'm going to go like that. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to Get Info. I'm going to grab the link here, copy the path name, paste. Now, again, if you're new to the terminal, this might be a little bit of a learning curve, but you can basically execute the same exact commands here. I want you to help me organize my downloads folder, identify files that can be safely deleted. Here is the link to my folder. Boom. And then you put the path there. Now, the planning process is really key. So you're going to go Shift, Tab, and you're going to be in plan mode. And I'll probably create another video on how to download Claude and go through that whole process. But for those that already have it, planning mode will allow you to first, it's going to baseline and understand first what it's working with. And this is really important, because if you're talking to an agent, if you're talking to Claude, it's better that you align before you type and it goes off and does something. That's really where you need to be really aligned with the agent, so that way it understands your intention. You don't want to have it, if I didn't put plan mode on and it went off and just did everything, it may go off and delete things. I may say safely deleted, but it doesn't know what the word safe means. So in my head, my version of safe could be different than what the agent's thinking. So as it's going through and looking at all the files, it's going to first analyze and evaluate everything that it sees, and it's going to give me its interpretation of how I'm planning it, or my prompt. So this is considered a prompt here. When we go off and tell it, I want you to delete files that are safe to delete, it's going to go off and explore all the files here, and then it's going to come back, which you'll see shortly, of a plan on what it considers safe. And before it executes and actually deletes those files, you have the ability to tweak that plan, give it feedback, and then say, okay, go off and do it. So let's give this a second here for it to fully run. Let's see if it comes back with what we expect. Okay, so now as this is going, it's going to ask you, do I want to list files? Yes, so just allow it. So this is basically just saying, hey, you can go ahead and look at all the files that are in this folder. And we're going to keep having to give it permissions here because I don't have the permissions set up on this folder. All right, so it's still running here. So let's check in on our other agents, which are also really cool. While this is running, I can go back and check on some of my other, what I'll call my teammates here. This is really some advanced stuff, but maybe I'll create another video for you guys so that way you can understand what's happening here. But what I tend to do is I tend to vibe code every weekend. I'm going through and having it clean up code that I wrote. Or actually, I didn't write it. The agent wrote it, to be honest. Let's see what it's doing. Okay, so enhancing the structure here. Triple path verification. Okay. Okay, so let this continue to run. I had this running on a fix. So I had like a payment system. So anytime I would get like Zelle payments through an email, I can have it automatically determine what are, who the payment came from, match it to a client. It can, send out an email confirmation to the client. I had a whole like workflow system here, but then what was happening was when I got the payment in through Zelle, through my email, like it wouldn't trigger. So I had Claude go off and figure out, well, why is it not triggering? I built this whole architecture here. Why is this not working? And some of this is really on me. Like I probably got a little happy here when this tool first came out. I created a whole bunch of code, but none of it was tested. None of it went through any kind of like gates or checking, no code reviews, nothing. Now I'm hopefully a little bit smarter here where I understand that like it's called AI slop. So when you create code with Claude, it just goes and creates a whole bunch of code, but doesn't actually test it to verify that it works, which leads to all these issues. So right now, I have it going through and just verifying that everything's working here. All right, let's go check back on our, okay, this one still needs more access. That's great. So let's give you guys some context as to what's going on here. So you can like run multiple of these things. Like you can have it do 6 or 7 different things all at the same time. Depends on how well your mind can keep up with it, to be honest. It's actually pretty incredible what you can do nowadays. All right, do you have all the permissions you need now? Let's check on our other guys here. Okay, so when I asked it to install the financial services skill, what did it do? These skills not on Claude Code. They run everything exclude code. Claude Code. Can you find an official knowledge work plugin for Claude Code specifically for financial services? Actually, you know what? I think I found it already. Let me look at my GitHub. So GitHub is a repository for code. And it's actually very, very cool. I've recently started playing around with it. I built all these different things here. None of it works, to be honest. A lot of it's like, find me a financial services plugin for Claude. So what GitHub does, here we go. Anthropic's official Claude for financial services. I don't know if it's going to find it. Let's find our starred repositories. Stars. Okay, so here we go. Knowledge work plugins. So knowledge work is Claude's or Anthropic's network of different tools or skills you can plug into your existing Claude session. So think of it this way. Remember we were talking about like the large language models and how like they're really good at general information. What these skills do is it allows you to set a goal, and Claude can go and actually become an expert in that line of work. So just like the name implies here, plugins allow you to turn Claude into a specialist for your role, team, or company. Built for Claude Co-work, but also compatible with Claude Code. So Co-work is what we were looking at here, which is a non-developer version. And then Claude Code is this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leverage this. I found it here. Now, sometimes you can like force Claude to go off and go find it. I specifically want you to install. Let's do finance. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Claude run reconciliation for me. So what's actually really cool is like I do my taxes on QuickBooks. And the problem with QuickBooks is you have to go in, you have to like reconcile, you need to like, tag every transaction. What Claude can do is it can automatically reconcile your bank statement. And I use what's called Plaid. So Plaid is an API that allows you to get in financial services data. APIs are really just how systems talk to each other. So an API could be, let's say you go and book a flight, an API would give the, Expedia.com the time of the flight number, where it's going from, where it's going to. So APIs are just ways that systems talk to each other on the back end. Plaid is what is basically a network that connects to almost every bank out there, every financial institution, and serves it through an API. You pay on a per cost basis. You may pay monthly for it, for example. But my issue specifically, which is why I'm looking at some of these knowledge work plugins, is that if I want to build my own reconciliation, my own version of QuickBooks that doesn't require me to go in and like have to like submit every transaction and like confirm everything, I can build my own tools. And so this is why like a lot of people talk about, the death of SaaS. So tools like QuickBooks or like Asana or like, I don't know, Trello, for example, like all these tools out there can be created with one prompt. You can use Claude to go off and create your own version of it. And the beauty is you can customize it. You can customize it to the way that you want it to work. So what I'm doing personally is trying to find a way to automate my reconciliation. So that way, when I file my taxes every year, I can have it go off and go create or do a reconciliation by pulling in data from Plaid, from my bank. It can look at my finances and say, look, what does QuickBooks have? What is my bank Chase saying? And are they in alignment? And if they're not, I can have Claude fix the difference and make sure that it runs until it reconciles it 100%. So maybe I'll do another video on that where you guys can see that live. But that's kind of like my idea here for using some of these tools, is to be able to kind of build my own tooling here. All right, so I'm going to have Claude go off and create or install this finance plugin. Let's go check on our other agents here. Let's see. So what's also pretty cool is that Claude will tell you like what the inside is. Like you can have it explain it to you in a simple way, because I'm not a developer. I'm just more of a nerd, but I don't understand all this like technology stuff. Let's see. Configure, run the new cron job, verify. How do you and I'm really lazy with this. I say, how do you suggest we proceed? And then I'll go back into plan mode here. And so I'll put it back on the agent to tell me, okay, well, what do you suggest now? And it'll go off and it'll like say, okay, well, based on everything we just did, here's what I'm going to do, or here's what I suggest we do. So you can see like here, like I had it run and create and fix all these issues that were wrong with my payment processing. Auto renewal. There's a kill switch that had to be removed. There was no cron job running. We had the wrong region. So now Doesn't you need to plan for next steps, branching, committing, PR creation, graph file review, and deployment. Okay, so now let it come back to me. Let's check back on our downloads folder here. I don't know what's taking so damn long for this to do. Old archives, temporary downloads, keys, category, file type, agent redundancy. Okay, so it's going to go off and it's still working right now. It's taking like 5 minutes, which doesn't normally take this long. So while that's running, what I like to do is I like to pivot back and forth. Boom, finance plugin. Available across all your projects. They can fire automatically. Damn, this is awesome. So I can do like journal entry. Well, how do I see it now? So I can do / plugin installed. Let's see if I see it here now. Claude MD management. Is that the one? Why are all my plugins broken here? All right, so let's do this. Let's exit. Live data. That is so cool. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to use this dangerously skip permissions. So another cool thing is that you can have it like not have to ask you every time. Like, you know how before we were saying we had to keep giving it permission to like say, okay, okay, okay. Here, this like tail end of dangerously skip permissions is something that allows you just to have it, just do it. Like, you don't need to like it doesn't, you don't need to keep giving it permission every single time. So what I'm going to say here is we just installed the finance plugin. I'm restarting my Claude Code. I want to connect to Supabase and run a reconciliation between Plaid. What do we want to do here? Between Plaid for my Raj photo video accounts. Which are Chase versus QuickBooks. So what I'm really trying to do is say, look, I want you to go to Chase, look at all my transactions, look at QuickBooks. Does that help me? Am I reconciled? This is, and like if I wasn't on the mic with you guys, I would actually be able to talk to it. So let's do this. Let me go back. I'll show you something really cool. So I don't need to sit here and type everything. I can hit the control button on my computer, and CTRL is on your like the bottom left-hand side of your computer. I can talk to it. I want you. Oh look, see, it actually worked. So what I'm going to do is show you guys how I prompt Claude without having to type. So what you can do is use the diction feature on your computer, so that way you don't need to like type everything. Like I speak a little bit faster than I type. I think that most people do anyway. But if I don't want to sit here and have to like try to explain myself like by typing, I can just talk to it. So I'll say something like, I want to run a reconciliation between my Chase accounts for my RAJ, photo video business, versus QuickBooks, so that way I can ensure I'm prepared for 2025 tax filing. We have connections to Supabase and Plaid, but the Plaid integration might be available through a different GitHub repository. And I'm going to just type here investment accounting. So basically what's happening here is I have a different connection that I had already previously built to go and pull from Plaid. And then it can do a query of that, and it can check my QuickBooks activity. And it can make sure that everything I have in Chase is reconciled. So I know this is a little bit out there, but I can make sure that everything is fully reconciled between my bank statements versus what Plaid is saying. And Plaid's pulling it directly from Chase itself. But the problem with QuickBooks, like I was mentioning before, like I have to go into every single transaction and like affirm every transaction. So let me just show you what I do here. So I go into accounting, bank transactions, And like every account, I need to like say, yeah, we got money in for this. Here's my, my YouTube. Here's my, Starbucks or whatever. And I need to go and like affirm every single thing. That's manual. That's a pain in the butt to do. Like I don't have to go through all that. So what I'm going to have Claude do is I'm going to help me put together a plan to reconcile in preparation for 2025 tax filings. And I'm going to now put this in plan mode. And I'm going to have it go off and plan that. All right, so let's check back while that's going on. So now we can now pivot to the other Claude session here. Oh my God, this thing is still going to ask me questions. Installers, archive, delete Python environments, wedding content, business records, major cleanup candidates, all deletable. Okay, cool. All right, so we can see here. Okay, so this is kind of going back to what I said before. The planning mode allows you to kind of like understand how it's thinking. So what it's doing is it's looking at my downloads folder and it's putting together a plan on what can be safely deleted, what can be used to reduce clutter, flag security concerns, et cetera, et cetera. So what it did is it went through all my folders here and it broke down, what's in all my folders. So I have media production folder, I have a business folder, I have development projects, archives, software installers, personal documents. What's safe to delete? So now this is saying, okay, you downloaded these 3 things, you can delete these because once you install these on your computer, you don't need them. You can also delete system junk files. You also have an archive folder. So stuff from like 2018 has been sitting there, which is pretty crazy. So this is pretty accurate so far. I mean, I agree with this. Like when I said safely delete, these 3 things can be deleted, which makes sense. It's now saying, okay, now some of these are likely safe to delete, but let's review it first. So I've got bank statements in here, multiple versions of the same chase statement. It says keep 1 copy, which honestly to me, I don't need that, but it's good that it was being conservative here. Development archives, FFmpeg files, installers. Yeah, like I don't need all this stuff. So long story short, let it I can say, okay, so what it'll do is first it's going to do a dry run. It's going to move to trash. It's going to detect duplicate files. It's going to make sure that the credential files are flagged. So that way, like any credentials or securities or passwords that we have, it's going to put that off to the side. And then you can modify the plan if you want. You can either say shift, whoops, did I hit the wrong button? Fuck. I can actually hit escape. I can just say, let's just delete the safe files for right now. And it's going to go off and it's going to go do that. And so that way, everything that we set up here, which was safe to delete under this area, high confidence, it's going to delete that minus the old archive because, we didn't review that yet. And then it's going to just move it to my trash, and then from there I can get rid of it. So that's planning mode. That's how Claude works. You can go through a planning process. You give it, so you can hear it now. You can hear the everything going into the trash. That's actually kind of funny. So it's going through the downloads folder and it's deleting everything that's in there. Cleanup summary. Boom. There we go. Now we saved close to almost a gigabyte of space here on our computer. And that's it. Now I can, if I wanted to, I can go through and say, look, let's delete more of this stuff. Let's go through and let's see, security concerns. Okay, clean up old archive, duplicate statements, dev snapshots. This stuff is not going to really move the needle here. It's really what's taking up the most amount of space are all my wedding videos and stuff, which is probably, I can probably go in there and just make sure that that's safe to get rid of, which, obviously I should be careful here. Photos, videos, I don't need that one. What if we said, can we delete any empty folders in downloads? And that's pretty safe to do because it's going to go off. It's very explicit. Go find empty folders. Let me find them all and let me delete them. And now it's going to go through and it'll start to do that. Now, again, you could choose to do that directly through Co-work. So again, the same thing that we did here where we were having it go through a bunch of files and delete it. It's really the same thing. And as you can see here, this is more of a terminal-based command where it's going through and executing actions. It's doing the same thing. The difference is like depending on, how technical you want to get here. Do you want to connect to different APIs? Do you want to have it like orchestrate through all these different, see, we can, like we had 2,800 empty folders. Like that's crazy. Like why do I have that many empty folders? I don't know why. I guess it got a little organization happy. Try to create folders for everything, even though there's no files ready for that. Yes. Maybe I deleted the files out of there a while back. And that's it. So again, in conclusion, your Co-work is going to give you the same outcome that Claude Code in the terminal is going to give you too, but it's going to do so in a way that is a lot more technically savvy for people that want to be able to interact with like APIs. They want to interact with plugins. Honestly, all these things now are, wow, that's so cool. I'm telling you, every time I like look and see what they delivered here in the latest updates, it's amazing. You can brainstorm, you can like have it recommend automations. You can have it do code reviews. It's really, really amazing stuff. But that's it now. Folders were deleted. And now if I go back, you can see that every folder has something in it, which is good, which means that it got rid of some of the glut that was sitting in my computer. All right, hopefully this video was helpful. I'll continue to create some videos like this, kind of walk you guys through how these all work. But time to get back to work. All right, see you later.